Welcome to Real Money Talks. Real strategies from the moneymakers and the world changers that you can use to make millions, keep those millions, multiply your wealth, and build your team. Here's your host, author of 5 New York Times bestsellers, money expert on Dr. Phil, CNN, CNBC, The Street TV, Fox News, and The View, Laurel Langmeyer.
Hi, this is Laurel, and welcome back to Laurel's Real Money Talks, a podcast where we're talking about how to make money, how to keep money, how to invest it, how do you use your team. So it is a big, broad conversation that we have here. And on a regular basis, I bring on a guest. In this case, he's a guest, he's a partner, he's a big table in our community. Those of you that are listening from all around the world, that is our mastermind and mentoring program. Timbo, welcome to Laurel's Real Money Talks.
Thanks, Laurel. I'm excited to be here.
So talk about VirtualTourCafe. I mean, you've been up and running for a while. We're going to get into the detail of it. But how, just to frame all the listeners from all over the world, how does it make money for people? And who should really be listening to this?
Yeah, that's great. And the reason we launched VirtualTourCafe was to help anybody involved in real estate, whether they're real estate agents, whether they're real estate investors, whether they're doing flipping, commercial, residential, help them to better market their properties. So we help them by creating tools and helping them create a presence or exposure for those properties, whether it's renting, leasing, selling.
Awesome. So how does it work? Say how it works, and then I want to take us to how the inception of this even began.
Yeah, so how it works is we wanted to make it real simple. When we came in about 10 years ago, there's others that are doing what we're doing, but they weren't doing it very well. So we knew that we could develop a system to make it easy for people that are not tech savvy. So for that person that just wants to be able to get in there once in a while, create a virtual tour flyer and video, this lets them do that in about 15 minutes. Now, maybe the first time it'll take them a little longer, but once they get used to it, they can create a virtual tour flyer and video and get it exposed out there in about 15 minutes. And that's really how it works, is they log into their own account. They subscribe to Virtual Tour Cafe. We also have RealEZPhotoFix that we'll talk about for helping those people make their pictures look better and make their properties look better. But either one, they're going to log into their own account. They're going to upload their own photos, and they're going to create tools that will help them market their properties and do it fast and easy.
Awesome. So talk about the book you wrote, How to Photograph, exactly what you're talking about, right? How to photograph and market houses to sell fast. So you became a best-selling author on Amazon, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Why did you write the book, though? Because obviously it's part of the business and it promotes the business, but talk a little bit about the book.
Yeah, thanks. The reason we wrote it was really in response to a lot of people, whether it's real estate agents or just individuals, investors, that were writing to us asking us, well, how do we take the pictures? How do we get the best lighting? How do we shoot at an angle? Do we shoot this way? So we're getting all these questions, and I'm constantly answering emails and calls on how to do this and how to do that to help them better market their properties. And I thought, you know what? This is a great opportunity. I should just write a book, do it once, and let everybody use that. And so it's under $5 on Amazon. It's not an expensive book. It's just a way to help our clients and help anybody do a better job taking their own photos and marketing their properties.
That's great. So Tim, talk a little bit about from the inception. How did that all start?
Yeah, so the inception really began from one of those down times in my life. I was affected by the great crash of 2007-8, just like a lot of people. And I had been a national sales and marketing director for many, many years. I had one of those jobs. And when that came to an end during that time, I had to rethink, and what is my life? What do I want to do? And so I actually got into real estate. I got licensed. I became a real estate agent. I started getting into some commercial as far as residential. I've done both in transactions. And as I was doing those, I started getting other agents in the office that I was working in asking me to help them market their properties and help them photograph their properties. And so I started doing that. And one night a light went off. And I said, you know what? I can automate this process. I've also worked in the tech department. I've been a senior business systems analyst. I thought, you know what? I looked at the people out there, services that were out there, and I said, I know I can do a better job and help other agents do this easier and better. And that's really when the light went off. And we took about 6 months. We put together a team of 5 developers, programmers. It took over 3,000 hours of programming to launch Virtual Tour Cafe. We launched it at the National Association of Realtors Convention in New Orleans back in 2008. And since then, we have people using the system in every state and several countries. It's been exciting.
Very exciting. So talk a little bit about the virtual staging. What is it? How does it work? And how does it help? I mean, common sense you could think about how it would sell real estate, but I want to hear from you. How does that virtual staging assist?
Yeah, it's real exciting, actually. We just launched RealEZPhotoFix is our newest site. It's a service by Virtual Tour Cafe. So it's the same company, but it's a different website. It's realeZPhotoFix.com. And what we did is we saw that virtual staging was starting to get known and seen out there. It's really the ability of taking a photo, a digital photo, and using extremely experienced photo editors and, if you will, designers to take that digital photo, add 3-dimensional images into it, furniture and things like that, and make the photo look extremely realistic as if it's staged physically, but it's digital. And so they save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars by giving people a view of what the room would look like with furniture without actually spending those thousands of dollars on staging.
Oh, interesting. So it's all kind of just photoshopped in, it's kind of fake.
Yeah, and people use that word Photoshop, and Photoshop is a tool, but these are actually much higher level tools. But yeah, that's exactly what it is. In simple terms, we Photoshop it and we make it just look amazing.
So it seems like that could be misleading, right, to the buyer. So how do you answer those objections or questions?
I had the same concerns, and especially as being somebody who still holds a real estate license. I don't practice real estate. I don't hang it anywhere, but I still understand the rules and laws and all of that. And so I had concerns. And so I did some research, first of all, and then I went to one of our local boards, MLS boards, and I raised the issue all the way up to the California Association of Realtors and got their legal department to give us a statement back that, yes, it is okay for realtors and real estate agents to use virtually staged photos, digitally enhanced photos, as long as they disclose. So, some just put tiny little letters in the bottom of their listing or their website or in the description. Some put it right in the photo, but it is in real estate, it's all about disclosure, especially if you're licensed. If you're not licensed, it's not as much, but I'd still say, cover your you-know-what, make sure you disclose that the photos are digitally enhanced or virtually staged. Disclose, disclose, disclose.
Absolutely. So how much does it cost? And, how does it compare with other kind of the cost of traditional staging?
Traditional staging depends on where the location, where you are. And there are areas, San Francisco in the area where we're based and New York, Manhattan, places like that, you're going to spend literally thousands of dollars just for a few months worth of staging. You're basically borrowing furniture and designers to do their job to make the house look beautiful, of course. And it's wonderful if you can afford that. That's the best thing to do. Absolutely. But the cost difference is huge. A digitally staged photo from us is $32. So you can do an entire house. You can do 10 photos for $320, or you can just do 1 or 2 or 3 for 30, 60, 90, whatever dollars, $32 per photo, not per room. So if you have a photo that's of like a dining room and a kitchen, we're going to stage all that area, all for that $32. Huge savings. Yeah.
So I'm actually going to go another place. So in your experience in helping do this with realtors or the seller, buyer, sellers, how much more does it increase the value, like in the sales price? Like you could say, it costs $32. Is it tens of thousands? Is it hundreds of thousands? What's a common growth in that purchase price?
It's real hard to say. It would be kind of like, trying to pick a stock. It's real hard to pick one. It's real hard to say what a value will change with something like real estate, as, you've been in it for a long time. What I will say is this. I think it can be in the thousands because people will get a perception of what the room looks like where they Some buyers just have a hard time visualizing a space. But here's what I think is the bigger issue, really. It's not even the increased value. It's the increased value of selling the property quicker than you would have without it. If I can give a quick example, we had an agent that had a house that had been on the market. It was actually getting stale. The property had been on for about 6 weeks, and in this area, that's getting stale. And he was going to drop the listing. And I showed him what we could do. It was an empty house. Showed him what we could do with virtual staging. He bought 3 photos, $96 investment, and instead of dropping the listing, he had it sold within a week.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah, and it's not the only story. We've heard others.
Oh, yeah, I bet. That's awesome. I have a couple places I think I need you to go in and do right now, now that we're talking about the detail of this and you think we need to move some stuff. So that's actually a good question. It works obviously for residential and commercial, or is there a preference?
No preference at all. Matter of fact, we just did a medical office. So we can do medical offices, we can do commercial spaces, we can do residential, we can do for sale, we can do rental. It really works for pretty much any space. We also do floor plans. We also do a lot of other things that will help with commercial. So there's other tools as well that we offer. But with the virtual staging, it can be across the board.
That's great. So investors, flippers, sometimes, like you said, have a house that's a mess, they're in construction. So how do you kind of time that to get it on the market properly? Can it be done while it's in those situations? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, and that's been a great area. We have some commercial clients or flippers and things like that or even just real estate agents where they have a property, they're wanting to get it on the market. They have their timing where they want to get it on. The client wants to get it on quickly, but the house is a mess. Either there's still people in there, and so you're trying to get tenants out, or it's under construction. We can actually do 3D rendering of under construction, and we can turn a room that has the walls not even up yet. Show us on a floor plan or show us in a drawing where you want the walls. We'll add the walls. We'll add the paint. We'll add, you can even tell us the paint color. We can finish a room that's under construction. We can declutter a room. You have a messy kitchen. You have a messy room. We can declutter it. We can remove all the things that are in there. We can then virtually stage it, or we can just declutter it. So it's really some great tools to help people that are in that situation where they want to get it on the market, or maybe it's even on the market and they don't have a choice. It's just cluttered and messy, or it's still unfinished. We can finish it. We can declutter it. We can make it look nice.
So what are some tips? Give some tips from your book that you're going to share with the folks today. And then again, talk a little bit about your book, where they can go get it on Amazon so people can rush out and go get it.
Well, that's great. So here's a few tips, and I do want to give everybody, I've got a kind of a condensed version of 7 tips and tricks that are taken from the book, and I'll give a couple of those right now. From a photography standpoint, some of the issues that we see with people taking their own pictures is, number one issue is straight. Keep the camera straight, level it left, right, up, down. Don't take those pictures where you're pointing down or you're pointing up. Take nice level photos, and you can use pictures, you can use edges of walls, you can use windows, but try to get your camera where you're taking a nice straight picture of that space. The second tip would be lighting. Lighting is so important. And if people have issues with the lighting or the straightness or the color and all of that, we also have a real simple photo enhancement that's $2 per image. And we'll take your good or not so good of photos and we'll straighten them, fix them, color correct them, do all that for you for a couple of bucks. But another tip is the lighting. Try to get the best lighting possible. Turn on all the lights. Take photos away from the window. Try not to take photos directly into the window, especially if there's sun coming into the window. It's just going to make the room look real dark. One trick that you can use is squeeze the trigger of the camera, the button, about halfway, so you're framing it, you're locking in the focus, but point the camera down to a middle of the floor or a coffee table or a chair and click and hold that focus right there. Then bring the camera back up to frame the room and finish clicking the picture. So you'll get much better lighting that way. Or another little trick is take it sideways to the window. Don't take it directly into the window. You can still show the windows by standing off to the side. Let's say you're standing in the kitchen looking at the living area or the family room, so you're not shooting directly into the window, but you can still see where the windows are. So lighting is real important. The angle of the camera is real important. Those are a couple of tips that I think will just go a long way. And then, hey, put the toilet seats down. Nobody wants to see a toilet seat up.
That's true. What about furniture? Any tips on how to stage, how much furniture? What would you tell folks that are listening for that?
Real simple. Less is more. Less is more. Get rid of as much furniture as you can. Leave a couch and a chair and an end table or two and some lamps. Less is more. You want to show the space. You want the furniture to be minimal. You want to get rid of any clutter. Don't have trash cans in the kitchen. Don't have stuff all over the counters, or don't have a bunch of furniture that when you add too much furniture, or if you leave too much furniture, it's going to make the room look smaller. If you take out some of those, even if you just temporarily move them over into another room while you take a picture of that room, and then you can move them back if you need to. Less is more.
Absolutely. And one other quick question, because I know we've got some gifts and giveaways and some fun links that I'm going to actually send out to some of my agents that are selling my properties. But before we give those away, anything on the outside that, the tool can use? Is anything on the outside from, I guess, you can't add trees and you can't add different driveway things, but any tips on the outside?
We can. We suggest not to, but we've actually added pools and put in grass and dirt lawns or dirt backyards. So that's up to you or the person to disclose what's being done, but we can do all of that. As far as just tips on the outside, get the money shot is the front of the house, nice and square, show as little of the neighbors as possible. Just get the house itself or the unit, the apartment building, whatever it is, with as little other structure as possible. Get some nice blue sky if possible. Oh, and by the way, if you don't have a blue sky, we can turn gray skies blue. We can even turn blue skies into twilight skies. So we can do digital enhancement to make it look like a nice, beautiful blue sky if they don't have one already. But if you have it, get that nice, straight picture of the front of the house, and then get one or two angles from the front. And the better angle is away from the garage. Go to the other side and shoot towards the entry and the house. People aren't buying the garage doors, they're buying the house. And so shoot from that other angle. But get a couple of angles of that, get the backyard. And then the Virtual Tour Cafe is going to help you expose it by getting all that together into a virtual tour, a flyer, a video. It'll put it out on YouTube, and it'll help you get all those pictures exposed to people and presented in a nice fashion.
Awesome. So, Tim, you've got a free report, 7 tips and tricks for selling a house fast, some staging photos, and a 7-day free trial. So talk about that and where people can go get it.
Yeah, great. So first, if you want the whole book, just go onto Amazon and just look under my name, Tim Denbo, Denbo, or look for, probably just Tim Denbo or How to Photograph and Market Houses to Sell Fast. And you'll find the book there. I think it's $4.99. But I want to get you going real quick. So if you just go to promo.virtualtourcafe.com/LOL free report. That's going to get you our 7 tips and tricks. You can get that free report right there. And then please go on and try it out. You can do a 7-day free trial at virtualtourcafe.com. Try it for 7 days. If you don't have a listing right now, just play around with it. Create a community virtual tour that you can use to market just yourself. If you're in the real estate industry, whether you're an agent or whether you're an investor or flipper, create a marketing tool. You can use our system for that. And you can also get a free virtually staged photo. Get your first one free. Just go on to RealEZ, that's 2 letters, E and Z, RealEZPhotoFix.com, and you can sign up for a free trial and get your first $32 photo enhanced with the virtual staging for free.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you being on. And those of you that are listening, what a fun tool to use. And for those of you that are actually in the business to make some money on. So thank you, Tim. And those of you that have been listening, you're listening to Laurel's Real Money Talks. And again, it's a weekly podcast where we're talking about how to become a millionaire, make some money. And again, the response to this podcast, go to asklaurel.com, ASKLORAL. You can ask any question. You can ask for a private meeting with Tim. You can ask for a private meeting with me. So let's stay in touch. We'll talk soon.
Thanks for listening to the Real Money Talks podcast. Your host has been Laurel Langmeyer, author of 5 New York Times bestsellers, money expert on Dr. Phil, CNN, CNBC, The Street TV, Fox News, and The View. Want to learn more about off-Wall Street investing, tax strategies, and multi-million-dollar business strategies? Visit liveoutloud.com/podcast for past episodes, show notes, and resources. For some special wealth-building gifts only for Laurel's podcast listeners, visit liveoutloud.com/podcast gifts. Do you have a burning question for Laurel? Visit asklaurel.com to submit your question, and it may just be covered on a podcast episode. So stay tuned and be sure to subscribe to get new episodes every week.